Do you ever feel like your art will never be good enough? That your creative abilities will never mature to a place where people will finally recognize and see your art for what it is? If you're feeling this way, it's probably keeping you from creating all together. And that's a big deal because only you can create the art that you're going to create. The world needs your creativity. We need your unique God-given gift. So in this video, I want to talk through hurdles that are keeping us from showing up in our creative gifts and how we can overcome those. The first hurdle is comparison. It is just so easy for us to look at what other people post online and compare ourselves to that. Instead, we should just be posting our own stuff, doing our own thing, instead of saying, why can't I be getting the views that that person is getting, right? Recently, I noticed this trend, and it's people talking about this sort of talking to camera style of videos, and they just call it like yapping or yap content, right? It's like, hey, here's my weekly yap or my daily yap. And I think that's interesting. This might be the maybe I'm getting old, right? Because that's a very like Gen Z slang kind of thing. But there's a cynicism there in that trend, I find, that people are saying, hey, here's me talking to camera. I don't feel like I can say, hey, I have something to say. So instead, I'm going to kind of put up a wall or a facade and just be like, this is just yaps. Pay it no attention. You know, don't worry about what I have to say. And I feel like that's a protection, even just in that trend. That's like protecting me against, well, what if no one watches? What if no one likes? What if no one cares? And so the comparison, I think a big part of that comes from comparison, that we say, well, this person yaps, talks on camera over here, and they get views. If I do that, I may not get views, and so I'm just going to put this facade and call it yapping. So it's an interesting trend, and I think if you have the desire to communicate creatively, if you have the desire in a hobby, in expressing yourself, whether that's through words or just a unique creative endeavor, writing, painting, etc., you should own that. Like, the desire is there because it was given to you, and so I don't think we need to put all of these, well, like, this person does it this way and I can't do it that way, or let me just downplay what I have to say or downplay what I want to do. That idea, that urge to create has been put inside you, and it needs to come out. And it's important. Like it's not just that the thing exists, it needs to get out. And so my encouragement is, in that hurdle of comparison, just post your own stuff because it's fun to do regardless of what other people are going to think about it. Similar to comparison is this idea of imposter syndrome. Again, looking at what other people are doing and thinking, well, I could never get to that level, right? Like, maybe you don't doubt your own gifts, or you don't even doubt your own enjoyment and therefore like the process of creating, but maybe you sort of doubt the impact that you could have, or as you're doing it, you realize, well, this isn't gonna make waves. This isn't gonna do what I think it should be doing. I'm not gonna get the attention that this other person gets. And you kind of have this imposter syndrome of because the results aren't there, you wanna just hold back the expectation. I do think a realistic expectation of people is a great way to overcome the hurdle of imposter syndrome. This idea that when you look at the people around you, and maybe there's people who have excelled, they make a career out of a hobby, they're really gifted in whatever the thing that you really enjoy creating, think about where they were when they first started. They were probably in a similar position. And how has that changed? If you've experienced, maybe it's a career where you've developed skills and you've grown in those skills and now you're very competent. Maybe it's something more like a creative hobby. I know for me, and I remember skiing as a kid, the first time I ever went skiing, and I was terrified. Like, I didn't want to go down the hill fast because I was just afraid. And now today, I wouldn't say I'm an amazing skier, like I'm not the best, but I am a competent skier and I really enjoy it. And to look back on my past self, my childhood self, it's interesting, like that I wonder what that kid would have thought looking at me skiing today, skiing down the hill. It's the same idea. You can look at other people and just imagine, where were they when they first started this thing? And a lot of the times when we're doing something, we're just making it up as we go. Even in our creativity, that's a lot of what's so great about creativity, is you can just like, let me just try this out and see if it works. I think the most successful people, who we find to be the most authentic and genuine, really have been just making it up as they go and finding people who connect to that along the way. So instead of, imposter syndrome is kind of this idea of like idolizing someone. Instead of idolizing that person, recognize that they're just a regular person like you. They have insecurities, they have doubts about themselves. Even some of the most competent creatives that you can look up to, they have their own doubts, right? The movie director who is at the top of his game, he makes a movie and it does well, and then he has to turn around and go, can I do that again? Now, certainly it helps to have the sort of the proof. Hey, you did it once before, can you do it again? But I think a realistic expectation of people is really key for helping us remove this barrier, this hurdle of imposter syndrome. It helps us see the humanity in ourselves and the humanity in others, and just removes that barrier that we often place on people. The last hurdle that I want to talk about is this idea that some niches have higher standards. So if you are in a specific niche within your creativity, acknowledging that some spaces have high standards or they're oversaturated. I was thinking about this through the lens of like Christian art. And I was getting a bit cynical. I was reading a Substack article that was just really fascinating, talking about Christian art and the high standard that is often placed. The weird thing about Christian art is that it is an art form with an audience of Christians, right? So Christians are creating this art and consuming this art, and it's, kind of exists in this space over here. You also, within Christian art, you have this issue where a lot of, and maybe I should clarify it, in some of the circles that I'm in, the more conservative evangelical spaces, those people are looking at art and not fully understanding it or appreciating art for what it's for. Like, art has a very specific purpose. Art is there to inspire, to stir up ideas, to question things. And a lot of the more conservative evangelical sort of Christian art, movies and things like that, try to utilize art, or they want art to be something that answers questions, right? That's like stating something as factual, answering a question, giving you assurance in something. There's nothing inherently wrong with that, but the standard for that is really high. And I believe art should be to bring up ideas, to bring up questions, to wrestle through things. And I actually find that to be a more biblical approach, because the Bible is full of questions and bringing up things. It's full of violence and gore and like really striking visuals of human moments, real human moments, death, all these things, right? So it gets interesting when there are niches of creativity and art that maybe are just hard to break into because the standard is at a level that's kind of weird. And so as far as how to break into that, again, I think it's just doing the art. I think it's just showing up with your unique God-given gifts and being okay with not being perfect. Let's go back to the Christian art example. Faith is something I take very important. And so I'm not looking to another Christian or an institution of believers to tell me how to create art that expresses my own faith. I have my own experiences, my own journey, my own walk, and you do as well in your own areas, right? So being able to create out of your own experiences is important. And I think that is a great way to kind of break through a niche that has a high standard, is to go, hey, I can communicate to this idea, I can create authentically into this context because I've experienced it, because I have my own experiences, because I have a story to tell, I have something interesting to say. So yeah, let's wrap it up there. I'd love to know where this lands with you. Are there specific hurdles that I didn't mention that you're dealing with? What is kind of holding you back from being in your creativity? And then of course, as always, my encouragement is just show up, just make the decision. Hey, I'm going to show up in my creativity once this week, for 1 hour this week, whatever that looks like. Carve out space, make time for that. Your creativity matters a lot. My name is Tristan. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please follow along for more, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Stay creative.